Hi everyone, it's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer. Welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And joining me for this special episode of All Time Great is my brother Ethan. Ethan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And I know my brother is a big and I wanted to do a special episode thinking about I've done all-time great episodes on mostly directors. I did one on one cinematographer because Roger Deakins is the GOAT of all time. But I thought this would be a fun episode to try this out for a character who's made such a big impact in all kinds of media, whether it's comic books, television, film, and video games, and that is the Joker. And this character's been around for decades and is still making such a great impact. So let's get things started as we go through and give you some reasons why we feel like the Joker is an all-time great character. We're starting off with he's a scene stealer. So, Ethan, what are some of the reasons why you believe that Joker is such a great scene stealing character?
One, it's um just the chaos that he brings, whether it's like a fight scene or it's just a dialogue. He brings just it's absolute chaos, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's physical or just in speech. I don't know, there's a presence about him
Mm-hmm.
in every adaptation that it's just he's bigger than anybody else that's on the screen with him. And that goes for Batman. um,
Um,
Batman is a presence. He does, for the most part, he is the one that takes center stage in um, whether it's the video games or the comic books or any other adaptation. But it's just the energy that the Joker brings to the table that everybody's eyes are on the Joker. And
mhm.
when he's talking or doing whatever, they're locked in on it. At least that from my experience throughout all the adaptations, that it's 100% attention is paid on the Joker because it's um just every time that he's on there, the performance is incredible. Minus one.
It's
Well,
like,
we might get into that.
and that one's still memorable. Maybe not
Yeah,
for the best
not for a
reason.
good, not yeah, not for the best
What
reasons.
what this it's so funny because what do people talk about most from Suicide Squad? While he's still the Joker, and he was in the movie for 5 minutes. Jared Leto made an impact. It was more of a negative response to it, but people still wanted to talk about it. And you have so many great adaptations of the character, and we'll dig into that more. But like whether it's like the manic fun ones, whether it's like the Cesar Romero or like somebody like Jack Nicholson, who, if you look at Batman '89, who was the biggest named person in the movie? The the Joker. They got Jack Nicholson to play the Joker, and boy, does he steal so many scenes. Just remembering him standing there next to the charred corpse of the guy who used the little hand zapper on and burn him to a crisp, and he's just talking to this charred corpse. Or the whole, in what kind of crazy town does a man in a bat suit steal my press? And the whole, this city needs an enema, and all of that stuff. Or him like dancing around like painting to Prince.
Yeah, I was going to forget. I forgot because I was going to bring that part up. I just forgot the song that was on. But yeah, that was something else.
Or something else. And like obviously Joker in the Batman animated series feels everything. Like it's the second, first or second episode where he has the whole Batman Christmas song, which that's where that is from. And because I'm trying to remember, I think the first episode's the Man Bat episode where like he fights like the guy that like turns into an actual bat person. And but Joker is like in the second episode of that show and is already stealing scenes. And like think about the Dark Knight. What are the most memorable scenes in the movie? I'm gonna make this and which that was shocking and crazy. And the whole entire opening sequence with all the clowns and
Mhm.
the interrogation scene, that whole entire back
Yeah,
and forth. It
that
just,
one was that one hit.
mm-hmm. You see, you can't start with that. Like the whole entire thing, and it's no matter what adaptation it is, he's having some of the best moments in any movie, any TV episode. It's that's the Joker. He just has that presence. He has that insane manic energy that just comes and grabs your attention.
Indeed.
Now we have another one. He is his extreme commitment to his goals throughout media. What are some of the things you want to talk about in terms of just that unbelievable drive to do what he wants to do?
Well, as many times as he gets his butt kicked by Batman, he keeps coming, and he
Mm-hmm.
just he's relentless. And that's one of the things. It's like there's villains that Batman's ran into once, and they're like, nope, I'm not going after that again. But he gets absolutely beat on
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of their encounters.
Yep.
And like the more he gets beat on, the more intense he gets and the more like drive he gets to get through what he wants. But he's also a kind of person that's like he'll put his head through the wall just to for the hell of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um and sorry, AJ Brown just scored a touchdown. um yeah, it just shows in like every adaptation of it that um for Christ's sake, there's not too many people that break out of Arkham Asylum,
Over and over and over again.
but Joker does every single time. And the fact that he knows that the only way Batman can really stop him is to kill him,
Well,
and he knows it for a fact, but he keeps messing with him, and he wants to do everything he can to create chaos. And yeah, he'll break through the I guess in that universe, the hardest place to break out of. He breaks out of it constantly,
over and
gets his
over and
ass
over
beat,
again.
and it's not just by Batman, it's by by other people that he pisses off. But he's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna do whatever I can to create this chaos. I don't. He doesn't even have like a true goal in mind. It's just create the most chaos that I possibly can, and is what he does. And he goes through hell or high water, he's going to create chaos.
Do I look like a guy with a plan? Uh, just that amazing moment from The Dark Knight. Because, like, you know, it's like a dog chasing after a car. What would I do if I ever caught it? And that, even though the Dark Knight Joker is such a very specific specific interpretation of the character,
Mhm.
he does fully embody what makes the Joker tick, and that is this unrelenting mad dog kind of drive to just cause complete and utter mayhem. And I think it's important to remember too, he's the only main antagonist that doesn't die in the Dark Knight trilogy. So like he obviously if something didn't happen to Heath Ledger, he would have been in the Dark Knight Rises in some shape or form. And obviously it was an absolute tragic thing. And from what like behind like side um story ideas, apparently that character is still alive in the Dark Knight Rises. He's just not the kind of character that Bane wants to be letting out from prison
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
Bane, similar to Batman, is structured in the way of that order and control in that context. Obviously, the Bane we get in The Dark Knight Rises is very different kind of Bane than like in the comic books and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But he's not the kind of person that wants to be dealing with a Joker type, completely let loose in mayhem in Gotham. But one of the fascinating things about his goals is like he pops up in so many stories. I'm a huge fan of Batman animated movies too, because
Mhm.
there's no comic book character who has had as great a run in terms of animation than Batman. There's so many great movies, and even some that are a little hit or miss. Even like The Killing Joke, which feels like it should have been like 30 minutes shorter, and they should have cut some stuff out of it. It's just that kind of thing where we never understand fully where he's coming from because he's an enigma. He is a mystery. I know, like, The Killing Joke has a background for him, but even in The Dark
Mhm.
Knight, where it's like he tells how many different backstories, you know how I got these, and it's different every single time, and probably none of them are right because that's him. But I love how he pops up in other stories. Like, um, one of the best animated comic book movies of all time, The Mask of the Phantasm. The Joker's not the main antagonist, the Phantasm is, but the Joker's there. Dark Knight Returns. It's not about the Joker, but obviously the Joker's got to be there. The fact that he's that type of character that pops up in so many other stories, even if he's not the main antagonist, it just says so much to how much he is committed to continuing his unrelenting work of just complete and utter mayhem and won't be stopped. And even when he is
They,
stopped, he won't be stopped because, like you said, he gets arrested and he's just like, "Beep."
they call me relentless because I do not relent.
Yes, the Joker is indeed cousins of Nandor, the Relentless, because I do not
I can't.
relent.
Anytime somebody says relentless, I just can't.
Not you can't.
That's all I think about.
It is very true. But no, he's the kind of character that will just keep coming, and that's a special kind of character. And no matter what adaptation of him, and like I guess they killed him off in Birds of Prey. Um, but like I wouldn't if that actually went somewhere. That's the awkward thing about the DCEU is that they had so many threads that just didn't go anywhere. I wouldn't have been surprised if it turned out that he didn't die, and Harley just thought that he killed him because it's the Joker. Can you really kill the Joker?
Probably not.
Can you kill
Except
chaos?
Jared Leto's Joker. I don't know.
Even he
Maybe that's
like kept popping up. Like that's it's the kind of thing where he represents something so deeply disruptive to society. And you're right. Batman's only way to finally stop the Joker for real is to kill him, and Batman won't do it. But the Joker won't stop trying to push his buttons enough to push him there.
Yep.
And like it doesn't just stop with Bruce Wayne, it's Return of the Joker and Batman Beyond. It just there's just something. The Joker needs to keep coming at Batman, and obviously the Lego Batman movie is very facetious about it, but it's like how it frames the relationship as this one-sided toxic relationship where Joker's like, we are soulmates forever, like antagonizing everybody, and then Will Arnett's Batman's just like, no, mine's actually Superman. I was like, Owen. And just that whole entire dynamic is so fun. Now, obviously, more than probably any character, the Joker has this deep, deep connection to Batman. And so, what do you feel like that deep connection to Batman means to making him such an iconic character?
They definitely feed off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when they're on in a scene together, I feel like it's always one upping each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they both are at their peak of like Batman is the most Batman and Joker is the most Joker when
Mm-hmm.
they're together. It's almost like
They are toxic,
the
really.
main like they they like hate each other, but they also like each other. And it's kind of they both give each other purpose. Really, it's they give each other purpose. Like if something happened to Batman, Joker wouldn't be he would be like, what the hell? It's like my number one, like my arch nemesis and blah blah blah. It's his reason for, I guess, really just keep going and being as chaotic as humanly possible. And Batman is again, everybody's easy for him. It's like it's even yeah, it's something that the enemies aren't that difficult, but when it comes to Joker, there's just something about it that makes it incredibly difficult for him to just keep him either locked away. It's not something that is it's an easy thing for him to be able to put to rest.
It's such an interesting thing because thinking about the Dark Knight trilogy, the studio wanted the Riddler to be the villain in Dark Knight Rises, and they wanted Leonardo DiCaprio to play the Riddler. And Christopher Nolan didn't want another character that's going to psychologically break Batman. Because how could you keep what you just did in The Dark Knight in terms of that psychological battle between Batman and the Joker? So he wanted a character who would physically break Batman. So that's why they went with, the Nightfall storyline of
Mm-hmm.
Bane breaking the bat. And obviously, Tom Hardy took some roids and put on like 200 pounds of muscle. Became 200 pounds of muscle. But it's that thing where in The Dark Knight, it's like, I don't want to kill you. What can I do without you? And it's that is their relationship. They're a
Mm-hmm.
codependent, both extremely mentally ill human beings that can't live without each other because there would be no chaos if there was not an agent of order trying to put out chaos. And there would be no order need for an agent of order if there wasn't chaos in the world, always waiting there to put life into mayhem. And that's why they need each other,
Hmm.
uncomfortably so. And that's why they're perfect foils because Batman is order. And the Joker pushes him to his limits and past his limits. What Batman does in The Dark Knight is extremely unethical with that whole um sonar system that he made, tapping into everybody's phones, breaking everybody's privacy. It's exactly why Lucius Fox is like, I have when this is all done, either this machine is gone or I'm gone from Wayne Enterprises because it was so messed up. But the thing is, the Joker pushed Batman to that point. That extreme Big Brother fascist surveillance is the exact kind of extreme order that somebody who's so chaotic would come about.
Hmm.
In the '89 Batman, Joker pushes Batman to the point where like Michael Keaton's like, "You want to get nuts?" And obviously you have Michael Keaton's known for that because he literally just did Beetlejuice. So like that's not surprising, but the fact that and like Bruce Wayne would act that way is a little
Hmm.
nuts. But he's put there by this crazy, crazy character that is the Joker. And the Killing Joke, I think, is the perfect example where at the very end of that story, the Joker makes Batman laugh. And the two of them are just, like, the story ends with them just standing there together laughing. What kind of thick, like, hero villain dynamic can you get to that point? And I feel like that's
Yeah.
what's so interesting about the two of them together. And there's no, like, I don't think there is a single hero villain dynamic that deeply rooted and toxically just I like uncomfortable about their connection and dynamic with each other.
There's nothing even close.
No, and like there's tons of great villains in comic books. You know, Thanos, but the whole thing is he doesn't have a singular hero that he's at conflict
Mm,
with.
yeah. He's an enemy to the world.
He's an enemy to existence. Um, the closest superhero to Batman in his rogues gallery is Superman and his rogues gallery. But not even to that point does Spider-Man have somebody who's that deeply rooted and unhealthily connected to. They're just so toxic. Obviously, especially in like the Sam Raimi films, there's a deep seated connection with the Green Goblin because his best friend's dad and those kinds of dynamics. But like, there's just nothing compared to
Nope.
Batman and the Joker. Now, I think this is an important thing to point out. This character has been around for decades, and there are so many great adaptations of him. So like obviously, Ethan, I'll let you focus on the Joker and who will always be the Joker, Mr. Mark Hamill.
Yeah. So what I had recently realized is how the relationship between Batman and the Joker feeding off each other and being like the reason for their existence and for them to keep going on in life.
Mm-hmm.
It even bled into reality when Kevin Conroy died.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill was like, there is no other Batman. So with the death of the voice actor of Batman, there's been quite a few, but with the death of him became essentially the death of the best Joker there ever was, ever will be. Period.
Mhm.
And it's crazy how that dynamic went from the screen, or you know whatever screen it is, or the
All the
paper.
video games.
Yeah, the video games, the animated series, and the countless animated movies where they were both
Mhm.
alongside of each other. How that came into reality was is pretty intense, because you see, I know this isn't really on topic, but you see bands with their lead singer die and they replace them, but it's like Mark
That
Hamill's like,
literally
no,
just happened. I
yeah,
saw
yep,
what Linkin Park
yeah,
has a new lead
we
singer
don't.
and going out there.
Um, it was an interesting. It's interesting, but that's a kind of band that needs to. I don't know. There's one singer that can sound like that, and that's about it. But um, yeah, there people just keep going, but it's that just the kind of dynamic that the Joker and Batman have, and they were Batman and the Joker, and it's unfortunate that that era is we're never going to be able to experience that again, which is upsetting. But it also would be weird having Mark Hamill um, without just that voice. It's one of the most unique voices in voiceover. It's Kevin Conroy. So
It takes you becoming a true adult to realize and acknowledge that Evan Conroy was the best Batman. it,
does.
obviously it's a generational thing with people arguing
Yeah.
about Keaton versus Hale, and even now it'll probably be Pattinson because he did amazing
he,
job with the
he did.
Batman. But like
Even Batfleck,
Kevin,
when everybody was like,
that
me included, me
he
included.
he was the part of Batman and Superman, like easy.
Yeah.
Um, and like that Batman was impressive because like that Batman actually looked like the animated Batman where he was like big as hell and could beat the crap out of people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that moment when he punched that man's head into the floor for that warehouse fight, I'm just like, holy crap. Um, and there's been obviously you can't talk about the Joker without talking about Batman. And there's been a lot of great Batman as well. There's also been some horrible ones. Val Kilmer and George Clooney were both not good. Not good. Especially George Clooney. George Clooney in particular was it's like you have like my man freeze. I'm Batman. It's like, did you just show up and like party and it's just like you're not even ready to be Batman right now? But
George Clooney is just George Clooney and all
yeah,
George Clooney.
like obviously he's perfect as Bruce Wayne. His Batman did not work.
No.
Um, but like I'm a big fan of Peter Weller from RoboCop, who was Batman in The Dark Knight Returns specifically because like that's an older, grittier Batman. But the Joker, like Mark Hamill, just understands. Like he found the perfect voice, and it's so iconic, such an iconic voice, and just captures the strange and uncomfortable nature of what the Joker can be, and he's just so much fun with it. And it's so crazy to think that like Mark Hamill was Luke Skywalker, and then like
Yeah.
the whole rest of his career's been like, yeah, I was the Joker, and then doing like other voice acting, and like that what turned out to be his career for the rest of his career up to this point. Because it's not like he does a whole lot of live action work, but his
No,
Joker is so perfect. But obviously, one in particular, the whole Jared Leto thing didn't go over well. I
no.
really would have liked to have seen if he actually was the main villain of Suicide Squad instead of the stupid crap that they did with Enchantus. And yes, I remember his name is Incubus. How many of you can remember that? Probably not, because he was such a terrible villain. But obviously,
Not.
the quintessential live action Joker at this point is Heath Ledger, and
Mhm.
it's because this is a dark, dark version of the Joker. This is like his laugh is unnerving. His look is unnerving. He, I feel like he's when Mark Hamill is being evil and murderous and everything, he still does it with a smile. And
Mhm.
when Heath Ledger's doing that stuff in those movies, it's not like there's not glee there. It's something really dark and sinister about his character. Jack Nicholson, they're like, who is the most high profile person we could get that everybody knows is completely mad? And it's just like, well, it's Jack. And he
He did.
does it with
He
a
was
smile.
really good,
Yep.
but yeah, like you said, it's hard to, and it's still going to be hard moving forward to find an actor that can match or even come close to the intensity that Heath Ledger brought to that character.
Right. I know
Walking
do the
Phoenix is
Joker like
really
that
good. Walking Phoenix is really good.
which
He is.
that and that's
Nothing
a
taken away from him. And it's just like it's a different kind of movie. It's friggin'
you know,
amazing. But Heath Ledger, it just I can't even
scary. It's
describe.
legitimately terrifying. Like just the presence that he brought into that role. And like you brought up Joaquin Phoenix, obviously like you want an Oscar too for playing the Joker. It's only the second character to win multiple best and win multiple Oscars for the same character. Previously to Vito Corleone, because Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro both won Oscars for playing
Mhm.
that character. But Joaquin Phoenix's character is uncomfortably empathetic. Like that's the whole entire point of that is for us to look at we're the problem. We made the Joker. Society made the Joker. This person, Arthur Fleck. And his laugh is just so uncomfortable because it's involuntary. And it just, uh, and like all of that is just creepy. And Joaquin Phoenix is one of the best actors working today because
Mm.
he commits to some weird performances and brings so many like strange idiosyncrasies. But you have like the original Joker is Cesar Romero, who's so vibrant and over the top and fits perfectly in the not in like the '60s Batman series because he's like if you're in a movie where Batman's running around a dock with a bomb, and like that bomb is a big circular bomb with a fuse on top out of a cartoon, and like he tries to throw it in, and there's ducks, and he runs away. It's like, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Cesar Romero fits that, like fits that world, and it's a very specific, campy, ridiculous Batman. And then Tim Burton changed comic book movies for forever and created what modern comic book movies are with 1989's Batman. And then there's even some really good voice performances. Like I already brought up Zach Galifianakis. I think he's so much fun in the Lego Batman movie. The Lego Batman movie is legitimately one of the best Batman movies. It is just it understands the character of Batman and Joker way more than it should for a Lego movie. Like, and like the whole thing where it's like Bruce gets home, he's like, Alfred, I'm home. And he's just like, I'm home, I'm home. And it's just like he goes throughout his giant ass mansion. He's just like sitting in his pool eating a lobster by himself. And it's just like, Batman's lonely. He needs the Joker. It's one of those kinds of things. And incredibly talented, famous voice actors like Kevin Michael Richardson and John DiMaggio, Bender, um, and a whole bunch of other characters played the Joker. And one that I feel like is really underappreciated is Alan Tudyk, um, of so many fun things. Of course, Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball. And obviously he's in so many animated. He's King Candy, in Wreck It Ralph and everything, and he plays Hey Hey the rooster in Moana. And it's so funny because if you watch the video of him doing his voice, like I went to Juilliard, and then he's like playing a chicken, but he plays a really beloved Joker in the Harley Quinn series. So there's a lot of actors, like even like Tony Hale, played him in Batman Ninja, and even David Hornsby. I don't know if you watched Merry Little Batman, that fun movie that came out around Christmas. David Hornsby from like the tweaking guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who like they ruined his life. I forget what his character's name is. Like that's the Joker. So there's so many fun ones, but obviously when it really comes down to it, especially in animation, it's Mark Hamill. But that's not to say that there isn't a whole bunch of great other Jokers. Now, two of the ones that I want to throw in here as we're getting towards the end here. One, Joker has one of the most iconic looks of any character in media. It's like that
Mhm.
idea of the clown prince of Gotham. And he is, because like, what's something that a lot of people are afraid of, including me when I was a kid? Clowns. We don't like clowns. And the fact that they made one of the most iconic villains of all time, and like the main crux of it, he's a clown, and he does all this like, look at my giant mallet, and or like a buzzer that murders you, or let's put a smile on that face, and all the crazy concoctions that he comes up with. But that look, the iconic purple purple suit, the green hair, the white clown makeup, the red lips, and whatever variation you do of that, including whatever the hell that was, Jared Leto did with all the tattoos and the grills. And I'm just like, okay. But still was the Joker. He did
It's a
have the
heroin.
makeup. He didn't have quite a suit, but it was purple. He had green hair. But, and even if it's something like Heath Ledger's, which is much more grounded, where he's like, that his hair is so disgusting. And it is just like this disgusting, like moppy, uh, greenish, dirty blonde hair. And then obviously his makeup is iconic, and then the scars to go along with it. I'm like the fact that they still had him in a really gritty movie walking around in a purple suit, it worked. Obviously, it wasn't very vibrant, but it was still a purple
Yeah,
suit.
they
And then,
they
of
did
course, like
they
Jack
did
Nicholson. Oh, go ahead, Ethan.
uh, they did a really good job with that because it sticks out without really
Mm-hmm.
sticking out because that whole trilogy is just dark.
Mm-hmm. It's grounded. It's realistic. They made Bane had no venom. There was no venom pumping into him and making
Yeah,
him
because
like,
he was. That's another one that's there. There's a lot of like, really over the top in like the animation and the comic books, and they make it more realistic. And they even with that them doing that with Heath Ledger's Joker, it still had the just the feel
yep.
of the Joker.
It still really captured the essence, the look, and everything. Yeah, I've been watching Pipe Man on Mac, and Bane is the main character in that. It's like, how do we keep running this business? It's so much fun. I think if I understand correctly, Pipe Man's a spinoff of the Harley Quinn show, and it just focuses on villains. Speaking of some great voice casting, they got Lance Reddick. One of his last performances is Lex Luthor, and Keith David is Darkseid. I'm like, I want Keith David as Darkseid in a DC, like an actual DC thing. His voice is perfect. Um, but just the obviously the look. It is so iconic at this point. There are very, very few villain characters, period, that have as iconic as the look as the Joker. All you need is a red smile, and it's the Joker. That's
Mm-hmm.
how iconic it is. And like the green hair, the purple suit, no matter what iteration it is, um, it it needs to be some shape or form of that, or it just doesn't feel right. Like
Yeah.
the Batman Beyond Joker looks grotesque, or even like I can't wait till we get like a really good long look at Harry Keoghan's Joker in probably what will be the Batman Part Two when we actually get to see a little bit more of him. But like, there's just something that, as long as you have the very specific basics of it, that Joker is just so recognizable. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is the legacy. His character for I didn't specifically look up when the Joker made his debut, but like this character, at least in film and television, has been around since the 60s. And
That's
you know how everyone's like, how many times have you redone Batman? Well, how many times have you redone the Joker? There's so many iterations of the Joker. We have this nice little collage here that I looked up where it has Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Mark Hamill, Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix. I don't remember what his name is, but the kid from Gotham. Um, and all of his iterations of the Joker. It's just here's another collage. This one included Jack Galifianakis from the Lego Batman movie. It's the fact that this character has stood this test of time, and he always works. Because here's the thing: what are we made to fear so much in life? Is something, someone, a group of people, depending on who society wants to point us at, we're afraid of somebody coming in and disrupting our lives. We don't, when we really come down to it, we don't want chaos. We want security. Some people would take advantage of that and try to sell you very, very uncomfortable versions of security. And even Batman can be pushed to a place of uncomfortable and unethical places of how much control and security he can make. You know, The Dark Knight Returns with him having bat drones just constantly circling Gotham like he's some kind of fascist dictator. But what do we fear? The chaos of not understanding the world around us, and that is the joke. And that is why he's scary and why he that character can't get old because what he represents is something that's always going to be a fear.
Hmm.
And honestly, I Mark Hamill is amazing. Heath Ledger was amazing. Jack Nicholson was amazing. It's the kind of character that we could always use new adaptations of. It's not
Hmm.
like we're clutching on and being like, this could be the only one. There's been so many different versions of this character that it's fun to see them playing around and seeing what they can come up with.
Except for one.
Just for the record, we're all still waiting for Willem Dafoe Joker.
That would be absolutely insane. I want to see it.
I don't think it's gonna happen at this
No, it's
point,
not.
unless, unless, unless that's where James Gunn goes for the new Joker in the DCU. If they announce that Willem Dafoe is playing the Joker in um the what is it, the Brave and the Bold, what's going to be the next Batman movie to launch the new Batman, which also I'm sure Ethan can get behind Jensen Ackles for Batman.
It's been a
it,
long time coming. It needs to
it made me
happen.
because he was the Red Hood.
But
I'm pretty
mm,
sure, right?
yeah,
Yeah. And if I'm am I mistaken that he was Batman in Batman Year One?
I think he was Batman, and it was I don't remember exactly which one, but he did play. Well, did voiceover for a Batman.
I'm double checking. Oh no, Batman Year One was Ben McKenzie, who played Jim Gordon in Gotham, which was interesting. Oh yeah, and Bryan Cranston was Jim Gordon in Batman Year One, which that that's some lovely casting. Love that.
That just he can his voice is just
Like he could have played him in live action too. I'm still mad that J.K. Simmons got the raw deal, and between him and Jeremy Irons, Alfred, I wanted more of them, but it
yeah.
didn't work out that way.
Defecation occurs,
There it goes. But yeah,
but we still
so
have a
we
lot of good. It that's the one thing that's the franchise.
Henry Cavill deserved better. We could have gotten more
Or,
Henry Cavill Superman.
mm,
Um,
well, there's okay. Hmm. Let's not get into
yes,
Henry Cavill
that is
having to leave things because once he leaves, it's fucked. Okay.
this is a whole other video, but
Yeah. You could do a
we
whole
just
video off of that. You can talk about The Witcher for an hour about how bad that shit's going to be. Okay. I don't even want to watch it.
how we'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
But we just gave you a bunch of reasons why the Joker is one of the all-time great characters because he is, and he'll just keep living on in pop culture. But Ethan, thank you so much for coming on and chatting about the Joker,
It was a pleasure.
and thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.